And welcome back to Atlanta's CW Network. You're watching Do I Need a Lawyer? I'm Gary Martin Hayes, and I thank you for starting your day with us. If you have a question that you would like for me to answer, if you'd like to speak with me regarding a potential claim, just pick up the phone. Give us a call right now, 770-934-8000. I'll tell you what, go ahead and put that number in your cell phone, 770-934-8000. That way I am just a touch away. Now let's go to the next question from one of our viewers. Hi Gary, I have a question for you, and the question doesn't have anything to do with personal injury, but here it goes. I've been working for a store as a cashier for a little over 6 months now. I'm averaging between 50 to 55 hours per week, but here's a problem. The store is not paying me overtime for the hours that I work each week, over 40 hours. Am I entitled to be paid overtime? Can you help me? And that comes to us from Pamela in Conyers. Pamela, thanks for the question. And let me start off by saying this for the benefit of all of our listeners. My law firm does specialize in personal injury, wrongful death, and workers' compensation claims. However, I want all of our viewers to know this. Please use me as your one-stop legal resource. Call me with your legal problems. If I can't help you because your case is not one of our areas of practice, I'll give you the name of some attorneys that I know specialize in that area of the law. Use me as resources to help you find someone that can help you. The call is free, completely confidential, and chances are I can recommend someone that can help you. So just pick up the phone or email me, Gary@GaryMartinHayes.com. Okay, Pamela, let's get to your question. Are you entitled to overtime pay when you work more than 40 hours a week as a cashier? Well, it depends. It depends on how you're classified under the Fair Labor Standards Act, or the FLSA. A worker is either an exempt or a non-exempt worker. Non-exempt workers are generally blue-collar workers, manual laborers, or others who perform non-technical routine duties with little or no supervisory authority or discretion. If you are classified as non-exempt, it means the Fair Labor Standard Act applies to you, and you are definitely entitled to overtime wages at the rate of time and a half. Now, exempt workers are employees to whom the FLSA overtime pay provisions do not apply. Employers do not have to pay them at the rate of time and a half. And exempt workers could include executive and professional employees, including teachers and academic administrative personnel in elementary and secondary schools, outside sales employees, employees in certain computer-related occupations, certain commissioned employees of retail or service establishments. Now, please understand, exemptions, they are narrowly defined under the FLSA. So do not take the list I just gave you as all-inclusive, as there are so many variables that could bring your job under the Fair Labor Standards Act, requiring the employer to pay overtime compensation. Now, whether someone is exempt or non-exempt, it's very difficult to analyze. There are a lot of facts and factors that could push your classification one way or another. I'd encourage you to speak with an attorney regarding the specifics of your employment arrangement. Now, Pamela, as a cashier, you should definitely be considered a non-exempt worker. This means your employer should be paying you at the time and a half overtime rate. And employers, folks, they try to avoid paying their workers overtime all the time, and they do this in a variety of ways. One, they may give the employee a fancy title such as you're a manager or you're an assistant manager, yet they will still try to get by with having you perform primarily non-exempt work functions. Or employers may try to get the worker to perform off-the-clock duties for which they receive no compensation. This may include the time they are required to get ready for work, time worked after clocking out, time spent on telephone calls or emails or text messages after hours, or time putting on special work clothing and taking the clothing off. And employers may not compensate employees for the correct amount of time worked, including time for required meetings and training sessions. Why do employers do this? Why do they fail to pay their employees overtime compensation? Well, it's less expensive for employers to violate the Fair Labor Standards Act, even if they're sometimes sued for unpaid wages, since only a handful of employees ever bring a claim because they don't know about it. And numerous employers simply believe they can get away with it. Especially in this economy, workers would rather keep their job than complain about not being paid overtime. And some employers can claim they are unable to afford overtime pay. Sometimes it's simply ignorance of the law. So what are your rights if you've not been paid overtime as required by law? 1, back pay for all the amounts that you're owed but have not been paid. 2, liquidated or double damages. 3, in some cases, your legal costs and attorney's fees have to be paid. 4, you may also be able to bring a collective action for all the other workers that are owed this money. Now, I know this is a lot of information, and Pamela, the easiest thing for you to do is just pick up the phone and give me a call to discuss your claim. And the same applies to anyone that believes they have not been fairly compensated for overtime wages under the Fair Labor Standards Act. Now, you have absolutely nothing to lose by calling a lawyer, but think of all you can lose if you don't. So pick up the phone, 770-934-8000. As I said at the beginning of the segment, use me, use my firm as your legal resource. 770-934-8000, and we will be back with more of Do I Need a Lawyer?